Hey all, it's Mooch. Ta-da. Um, Welcome. See if you can hear me. As I'm already knocking things over. Hope everyone's doing okay today. Okay, Scott Bogfoot, good evening. And I can't get the feed to load. Helps if I. And I'm wondering if. Wow, is that choppy as heck? At least my feed. Okay, it's clearing up a little bit. Yeah, Marty, it looks like it is going to be a buffering kind of evening. See if it kicks me off or not. But can you hear me? Um, I can see the feed. Okay, not too much of delay. I took off my glasses. That only took a couple of seconds. Oh, Chris. Yeah, alive? Not well though. Usual, usual medical issues. But thank you, John Beninati. Welcome. Can anyone hear me? Please tell me. I've been dropping hints, hoping someone could tell me. Um, Mr. Brainbooger, welcome. Other name 1000, welcome. Black Rose 397, aloha. Chola Ranch, hello, welcome. Crimson, Battery Addiction. Crimson, thank you. John, thank you, everybody. Fog Dog, okay, good, good. Wonder if the people chime in. Joseph Elgar, hello from Israel. Hello back. Mitch, Leo Lich Vela? Or is it Vic Lick Vela? I'm terrible with names. Battery Addiction, thank you. And we got the bagpipes playing out front of the building, and Frank Sinatra, New York, being blasted out back of the building as everyone gives a claps for the healthcare professionals here in New York. Rainbow River Bomb, thank you for the kind words. Tobai, welcome. Uh-oh. And now I'm seeing the dreaded delay symbol. Let me put a note in here to see if we can do this. Okay. Yeah, battery addiction. We've got some skirmishes. We're not like some of the other cities here, but we have thousands of people showing up in Brooklyn at some of the uh, oh, what was the some of the protests. Yeah, Cholo Ranch. I think it's it can be mine, but I've had great deal of problems with YouTube. Actually, these couple of days. Mitch, this is a equation up here, and this one I kind of like because people are like, what the heck? Justin, actually, you bring up a good point. It does get weird often at the beginning, but today seems particularly bad because I'm looking at the feed in the YouTube app on the tablet here, and it's playing, but there's a constant, ring of death, buffering ring of death now. Well, I don't think, Chris. Okay, let me try this. Well, Christ tough. Christ tough. Okay, I need to just read it once really slowly out loud because there's some kind of feedback loop to my brain then. More wire equals lower resistance or the coil? Well, more wire and length is higher resistance. More wire in terms of the thickness wire in the gauge means lower resistance. Justin, if it continues doing it on your own, you can lower the video quality. Not from the app. I can't. But thank you. Yeah, if I was doing this from something else, but I just launch it in the phone from the app. But if this happens a lot, I'm gonna have to look into, I guess, firing it up from YouTube Studio. But YouTube Studio on the phone is a nightmare. But I guess lots of people do it. It's just, getting a little tiny screen and figure out what the heck's going on in this little tiny screen. Yeah, Other Name 1000 is watching at 144 buffering. Yeah, I think YouTube's just got a whole lot of problems because we've always come on. What is this? 23 episodes, when everyone in the building is firing up their internet at the same time. So probably just kind of things. Well, we'll see what comes of it. It's interesting because I'm looking at this may be local. The image now is gorgeous on my feed, YouTube feed from within the app, the YouTube app. So I'm watching, my YouTube channel now and seeing it, and it looks fine. So I think, and what's even weirder is, um, let's get to a couple questions, and then we'll dive into whatever comes up. Just put battery space Mooch in the beginning of it. That way it gets nice red tag and I can see it. Nope, you don't need an @ symbol. You don't need a hashtag. T Gets asks, I have an InLife by Galisi charger. InLife by Galisi charger. Should I stop using it? I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. If you have a Galisi charger, you don't have to stop using it. There's a recall for the S4 we're trying to sort out. In fact, I was trying to post to a forum about regulatory standards, asking some questions I had. But the S4 was recalled in the EU, and in my mind, they're all the same, including the other the S2 charger. The S6 is different, but it's up to you whether to stop using it or not. But I don't know what an InLife by Golisi charger is. I'm sorry. Um, right now, we just don't know a lot of things, and it's just I'm over 200 hours of work into this, and it's still going on. I'm still going to do another video with my conclusions, and then that's just enough is enough. People just have to go yes or no. There's no more information coming. Here's all we got. Here's what Galisi says. Here's what I say. Everyone has to decide. Justin's 1 month old X-Star ST2 died already. Wow, that's too bad. Yeah, I guess they all have duds. X-Star has still been pretty. I've been seeing pretty good things about them, and the engineering certainly looks pretty good. But mass market product that's being sold at maybe 1/3 of what it should for a good, reliable product. I mean, for a good, reliable charger, I don't, $40 for something like that with all, 4 slots or something, $50, $60. So we have to realize we're really playing with that bell curve. Most of them in the middle of the curve, yeah, they'll last a while. Some will last a really, really long time, and some will fail right away. But it's always annoying as hell when we're on the end of the bell curve that results in an early failure. Chris Robertson says, "Any day I'm above ground is a better day than one in it." I, I I think that's pretty universal. I would agree. Have I ever built a solar generator like the Kodak? No. Battery addiction, I've never built any kind of solar generator. Um, done some testing of solar cells and stuff like that a long time ago for a client for energy harvesting application, but not anything I built myself. Marty Steins asks, how do you feel of the DLY T5 tester charger? Sorry, I don't know anything about it. The analyzing or testing chargers most of them are pretty bad, pretty inaccurate. The internal resistance is useless on almost all of them. Some of them you can squeeze the contacts and maybe get a decent reading. The capacity readings on almost all the analyzing charges, testing charges is off 10% or so, maybe 15%, 5 to 15%, which may or may not be a problem to you. It's usually fairly consistent if you stay in the same slot. So you can compare one cell to another and track loss of capacity over time. But to find out, hey, is this a 2900 or a 3000 milliamp hour? No. Mitch tagged me for World Vape Day. Yes, that was yesterday. Um, at least I hope a lot of you posted stories or at least shared announcement on that. I think it comes at I mean it comes at a time that's right for World Vape Day, but in terms of the planet and what they're looking at and concerned about, I think we were just drowned by other news stories. But we have other opportunities for spreading the word. Battery Dixon says he's building a better than Kodiak. Awesome. Make sure you post online and drop a link in chat when you got it going. Krzysztof says, my name is equivalent of Christopher in English. Ah, makes sense. It's Polish. What mechanical device do I recommend to start with? Whew. I'm not good with mods, but I'd say to start with, you want something with a 510 pin, and I've forgotten, is that the Mech Life? I'm no good. I'm no good with that. I've tested about a dozen of them for voltage drops, but I can't even tell you which ones had the 510 pins or not because my brain just isn't remembering anything about that because all I was concerned about was voltage drop. So I don't have good, Vaping Bogan would be fantastic for that. Mike Vapes, a bunch of other people out there for a beginning start kit, but I recommend one with a 510 pin so you don't have to worry about hybrid top caps and additional safety precautions you have to take for that. You're just not losing a lot of power if you get a decent performing one. Geothermal, battery mooch. If I attach alligator clips and wires to my nipples, what battery would you recommend for the best jolt? Well, you want voltage. You need to drive current through those puppies. So, the highest voltage, the better. I'd say, as many car batteries you can find wired in series, and then have at it. And you get all the capacity too, so you can enjoy this for several hours at a time, if not days. Folks, don't, no, never attach anything. Don't, never, ever. For those of you going, oh, I should do that. Or post, Mooch said to do this, and I ended up in a hospital for a week. Uh, Marty Steins, that's what I thought. Not much info on it. I just used it to charge. The testing seems off 100 milliamp per hour. Okay, Marty, which one do you have? Um, Clutch, XTRM Brazen. That's a great recommendation. It is a hybrid top cap, and there are different, there are considerations on that, but it's a great mod. ACC 1079 with a super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge and information with the community. Thanks for your kind words. I really appreciate that. I want to give, whoops, let me close this one off. Ashley Davis Brown, welcome back. Better Mooch, yes, I do think the Mech Life is not hybrid. I'll look it up for him real quick. Ashley, thank you very much. Um, Roscoe Van Dam with super chat. Thank you. Hey Mooch, I recently got a free 18650 flashlight from Lithium-Ion warehouse with an order. I know I need a button top battery for it, but is there a minimum amp battery I should look for? You can probably go with almost anyone, but if it's anything like the free flashlights I've gotten, I didn't need a button top. Try a flat top. If you hear it rattling lengthwise, then you know you have a problem. Or if it's just a crappy connection and it's fluttering all the time and stuff. But you could try a flat top and see if it works. Most of them have a pretty decent spring on there to handle button tops or not. Thank you for that super chat. Ashley says the Arcless is hybrid. Never mind. Then Christoph, do you vape yourself? Yes, I do. 5 years now. End of March. What device do you use? And with that, let's segue into the buffet. I've got a Goon 1.5 on the top side today, and I've also got the Intake Dual on the DNA 200, eFusion Dual 18650, and I just got some 70 VG with a touch of mint today. Uh, Trouble is, in this hotter weather, it happens every year. There's a real adjustment period for me. I just don't like vaping. I don't want a lung full of hot air when it's hot, and I've got the freaking hot water pipe for the building running through my apartment, trapped in a drop ceiling space. So this apartment is hot all the time, which is fantastic in winter. But it's just, yeah, unless I really get the urge, I'm stressed, and I really have to freaking vape. Um, because for me, it's a lot of it is used to be this and the mechanical action, but now vaping, it's my oral addiction and that mechanical action. It's a lot of it. So I just find myself going, ugh. So I'll be vaping later today once it starts to cool down a little bit. I just don't want to turn on the air conditioner so I can vape. Also, I've got all the test equipment on, so I can't vape indoors anyway when the test gear is on because they all have fans drawing that in, and there's no way I'm having even a tiny film of VG coding anything because that could interfere with performance potentially and would hugely affect the calibration costs because they'd have to clean the circuit boards. Namely, take out the board, they have to send it out to a place that cleans it, get it back, reinstall it, da 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 da. It'd be $1,000. I think I answered your question. So yes, I vape. I enjoy fruits, mint in summer. In winter, I'd love big, huge, fat, hot, wet hits of pastries and desserts. Uh, but for me, it's mostly a stress thing. Can't afford to, and with the apartment to just vape all the time because I like a flavor. And stepping outside now, I don't want to step outside into a crowd of people these days, just to vape. I'm finding less time available for vaping. Forrest, welcome. Hello. Other than 1000 says it's pipe weather, perhaps. There you go. Scott Bogfoot, is it okay to put plastic paper labels on 18650s for remembering the date they were bought? Would the glue affect anything? No, no, it shouldn't affect a thing other than making it, if you have a label on it, it makes it a little bigger and it might not slip into a tight-fitting tube neck, or you might find that like the eFusion Duo, it's hard to get regular wrapped 18650s in there. If they're double wrapped or they've labels on them, it's even harder. So that's the only thing. It'd be something physical. It wouldn't be electrical with the battery at all. What I often do is take off the wrap carefully, keep the ring, put the ring back on, and then write on the battery, and then use clear wraps over that. So now I can read. I've got all that room to write things on the battery, and I only have one wrap left on it, and it lasts forever because nothing can rub off or peel off or anything like that. Wendy Stein says is DLY full T5 says test charger on the front, $40, at least charge well, 4 bays. So far, seems fairly happy with it for charging. Red Baron Reviews asked if I have a favorite mech mod. Let's see. Vindicator 21 for looks. Clutch I really like. For performance, looks. Um, let's see. What else have I really liked? Kind of like the Notion. I like its shape and the tiny little 18350 size. I'm not liking straight tubes anymore. I kind of like the wasted tubes, like the Keen and stuff like that. Let's see. Ooh, those are the ones that popped to mind. I was on a mech kick a couple months ago. Now I've kind of bounced back to regulated a little more. It's total mood and switching. I might go through 7 mods in one day and then just the same mod for 4 days, just going through 7 different juices in one day. Well, I don't do that anymore. Just having 7 different juices around. And thanks to New York State's flavor bans, things have gotten wonderfully harder here in New York. Justin says the Cree flashlight that he mentions is only rated 3 amps. Oh, yes, Justin, thank you. I didn't answer the question. Yeah, I'd say a 5 amp rated battery could handle that free flashlight, something, power bank battery or something like that. It's pretty easy to find a 5 amp rated battery. Gormy Gorn, I caught your question, but please, battery space mooch in the front. Justin, if you see anyone ask a question, just throw that out there every 15 minutes or so. What are your thoughts on the non-P Molicel batteries since it's the M50A? I haven't been able to find much info on them. I don't know if the M50 is it the A? I thought it was just, did they add an A? I thought it was just M50. I don't remember. I didn't know it was actually released yet. I thought that might still be in testing, but maybe it is. Some customers have it. I don't remember the results on testing it. It was so long ago. I had some early samples on it, so I really don't have anything to comment. It wasn't I mean, nothing you find is going to be an earth-shattering jump over anything else. It just doesn't happen. You might get a little evolutionary step, classic evolutionary step, but that's it. Minor differences between them. So I don't have any information on that yet. I asked a few months ago, and I don't remember what the answer was, but it wasn't made me go, ooh. So I don't think it's imminently coming out or going to become more available yet. Brent Chadwick asks, when I have a non-vape device plugged in, like a phone or laptop, and the battery is 100%, is the battery still being used and going through cycles? No, no. What you've got is the battery being held at 100%, and all the current is coming from the charging adapter with a decent unit. Now, maybe some phones might have both turned on, but whichever can supply more current or has the lowest resistance, it's an Ohm's law thing, would end up supplying the current. So you're not cycling the battery. If anything does come out of it, the charger just puts it back in a millionth of a second later. One electron comes out, one electron goes in. So no, in fact, that's a great way to save the battery. But it holds your battery at full charge. So that has some disadvantages if you're doing that every single day, year round. That can age the battery. A few times, that's not a problem. Red Claw Inshan, hey, hey, Battery Mooch, good evening from Germany. Welcome. Thank you for staying up so late, especially with Monday coming around and maybe work waiting for you. Justin Vickers, yeah, if you're talking about the M50, no, I don't think that's a 20 amp continuous battery. I don't remember if I thought it was 15 or 10 though. Battery Addiction asked, do I think it's worth it to convert nickel cadmium to lithium in the Ryobi? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to convert a battery pack like that, and you need a battery management system that'll work for it also. So it's he's talking about a power tool battery pack. So you've got to take out the existing one with its battery management system, put in the lithium cells with a battery management system that'll work for it. Um, I, in the end, my time is worth a lot of money from to me in terms of, oh, I can save $50 if I spend 20 hours on something. No, 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 no. I'll spend the $50 even if I don't want to spend the $50. I may not. I may decide just not buy it because I don't have the $50. But the time with everything else that's going on, I'd be like, so I think a lot of it's your personal choice. Does it result in a performance and cost difference that makes it worth it for you personally? And are you comfortable doing that electronics work? Justin says the M50A, there is an A. Okay, it says 5,000 milliampere hour, 20 CDR. Yeah, Molicel rates everything for non-continuous use. So that 20 amp probably means a 10 to 15 amp cell for a continuous rating, and what I would recommend for cycle life, lower risk, etc. Greasy. Battery Mooch. I recently bought a Vaporesso Gen 220 regulated mod as a backup, and I'm blown away how good quality of vape you get from it. It's up there with the Evolved DNA chips. That's fantastic. Is it a Vaporesso chip, or are they using somebody else's chip regulator? It's funny how I go back to chip after all these years of screaming at how wrong it is to say that, because there are many chips on every chip and regulated circuit board. Red Claw Incheon, National Holiday on Monday for us in Germany. Awesome. Thanks for staying up late. What holiday is it? Brent, you're welcome. Scott Bogfoot. If I were to make a small electricity windmill, can any motor work, or do I need an inverter-enabled motor, or is there more to it than that? There's more to that, or there's less to it than that? I don't know. I've never tried doing that. Now, what kind of electricity do you want? Do you want 120 AC? And when you say small, do you mean something, a 5 watt kind of thing to charge your phone, or a 2 kilowatt setup because you want to charge batteries to supply electricity to your house overnight? For the bigger setups, I have no idea. For a smaller setup, any motor could be used to generate. I think if you spin, actually, it may be AC or DC motors, and there's different, can't do it with a brushless motor. You need a brushed motor. So there's an awful lot in the little details on something like this. I bet there's some awesome YouTube videos though for a lot of that, because you can't be the only one asking that question. Um, other people would want to get started in something like that. But I just because of AC and DC motors and brushed and brushless and your power levels all going to affect your choices, I wouldn't be the best choice for giving you information on that because I don't know enough. Corn Dog, is it normal for my Sky RC MC3000 charger to erratically and randomly fluctuate by 0.01 volts by charging? That's tiny, 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 tiny. I usually don't see that, but what it may be doing is, I don't remember if Sky RC does pulsing, but it may be, just from temperature and stuff, it may be right in between those two, so it changes 0.01, but it's really sitting at, 1,000th of a volt for this display, 1,000th of a volt to that display. So it can be a much tiny voltage change just around the threshold between those two displays. I would say get some alcohol wipes, slightly damp, wipe the contacts off the battery, off in the charger, which you should be doing regularly anyway, so you get a better connection. Maybe your bottom contact is bent back a little bit, so there's not as much pressure on there, and see if that makes for a more consistent reading. Justin Vickers with some safety information. Thank you, sir. Krustov, is voltage drop in cheaper chipsets, regulated mod circuit boards, bad for me? Why people invest in more expensive boards like DNA 250C. I'm talking about regulated devices. Well, it's there's a voltage drop through it, and that's its efficiency. So yes, that can happen. If you've got a device that's only 75% efficient because there's a big voltage drop through it, you're losing battery runtime. You're losing vaping time on the batteries. Whereas something like a DNA that could have over 90% efficiency, maybe 95% efficiency. I know they can quote 98, but that's certain voltage range, certain current ranges, and stuff like that. That's just the maximum. Uh, you can get, with the same set of batteries, more vaping time. So there are advantages to using more efficient regulator circuit board, or what people would call a chipset. Vape Roaster Gen is the Axon chip. Okay. I've heard good things about the Axon. I haven't played with any yet. Greasy, charged externally, just, oh, okay. Red Claw Inchon, it's Pentecost. Google Translate says that at least. Oh, I've forgotten what, oh, Pentecostal. Oh, okay. Holiday. Yeah, I forgot what our translation for that is. Thank you. Chris Robertson said he's heard a treadmill motor works great for small windmills. There we go. And again, you might have a treadmill that uses the brushed motor, and you might have a treadmill that uses a brushless motor. So I'd say, definitely the little tiny details would matter. Marty Stein, by the way, I appreciate all your battery charts. Thank you, sir. I picked up P42As for his topside light and 4 VTC6s for his Aegis Legend after figuring out the power need. Battery life for days. Awesome. Good, good. I love hearing that. David Fisher with a super chat. Thank you, sir. Mooch, I just want to say thank you for everything you do for the vaping community. I truly see you as a lifesaver for new vapors. Very kind words. Thank you very much. Scott Bachfunk says only 12 volts at most for the windmill. Thank you. Oh, okay. That opens up all kinds of motors to be able to use. But I just don't remember which motors work best, when spinning them to turn them into a generator. And of course, any gearing or gearbox you have on it affects things, namely, what kind of prop size you need, etc. Uh, um, you know, its speed will be directly related to the voltage it puts out, and then how you regulate that voltage back down again to either go into batteries or to run devices that you have. Recall Inchon, I've got a Gear Falcon AL88. I've actually got two of them in testing. Power supply says 4 amps, but I can load 8 bays with 1 amp each. Legit, or does it lower the charge rate? Yeah, okay. The power supply output says 4 amps, but if it's 4 amps at like 12 volts, then you've got 48 watts. Now, 48 watts at 4 volts is whatever, 1 to 10.2 amps available. So it could do 8 slots at 1 amp, and it'd be running hard. Believe me, the AL88 runs really hot. That's what I've been testing, all 8 slots running like that. So it's the total power that matters. So get the total power, voltage times current for the output of the adapter, subtract about 10%, and make sure that's the same or more than the total power that 4 batteries would need being charged at 4.2 volts at 8 amps total, because they have 8 1 amp slots. Al Park, welcome, has a question. Would a cooling mechanism still be necessary if you use LFP batteries on an e-bike? Cooling is necessary for any setup you have if it gets warm or hot. Now, that all depends on the internal resistance of the batteries and how hard you're using the batteries. You might have, A123 or Lithium Works, they bought the right. So Lithium Works 26650s, with 50 amp ratings. But if you're still running them at 30 amps, 40 amps, and you've got them nice and sealed up like most e-bike battery packs are to keep them watertight, then you might need some kind of cooling. Phase change materials in there, metal plates on the end, uh, um, separate the batteries into smaller waterproof packs so at least you can get air, around every 4 cells, whatever you might need to get the cooling done. So Al, to answer your question, it depends on the setup and your batteries. Anything more than about 45 Celsius, you feel it and you go, oh yeah, that's a bit warm. That starts to age your cells. If it's getting a lot hotter than that, and talking the center cells in your pack, You just can't feel the outside of the pack. If the outside of the pack feels warm, cells in the center are probably pretty toasty and aging a lot faster than the cells on the outside, which is why a BMS is very good to have too, because it needs to manage how these cells are going to be aging very differently. They're going to have different leakage rates. They're going to degrade differently over time, lose capacity differently over time. If you've got a big thermal gradient or a big difference in temperature between the outside cells and the cells in the middle. So cooling can help with that too, even if not for overall life, or even if not for just direct safety or something like that, just for overall life and to make battery management system requirements loosen up, make it easier. Red Band Review says some kind words also. Thank you very much. Chris Robinson, thank you. We got about a half hour, so. Oh, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Range of Vapes for making possible to buy a pair of Ghaleesi S2 chargers for testing and teardown. Already torn down. Boy, does that smell like vape. It's funny when you stop vaping for a little while, and then you pick up something when you were vaping heavily yesterday. When I didn't have the test gear running, and now I'm like, oh, that's strawberry. It's funny how that happens. So this will be tested with a pair of them because I want to compare the circuitry and its performance to that of the S4, the one that had the European Union recall, of which Ghaleesi's not worried about. We don't know if it's counterfeits or not. Namely, we just don't know what's going on yet. Even though it's been weeks, it's so hard to find time to spend hundreds of hours on this to get things sorted out quickly. Red Claw. You're welcome, sir. Scott Bogfoot, what is right left hand rule? I can't remember which it is for winding wire. I don't remember my rules. I haven't had to use that. That's something you learn in school and you need, but I don't know if I ever used it once I got out because it just wasn't a concern for the type of work I was doing and for the hobby things I was doing. Um, Scott Bachman's talking about rules where you can use your thumb and fingers to determine direction the current is flowing and stuff like that, how the magnetic fields are generated, etc. Ibrahim, battery space Mooch in the front of any questions. Can I solve the arcing problem, I guess? My battery on mech mod. Probably not. A lot of that is inherent with the mod's design. You could try a different battery, clean the arcing marks off with a Scotch Brite. It's called Scotch Brite heavy duty scrubber pad. It's a green pad. You can scrub, just clean the marks off every single day, maybe even twice a day if it's bad. Because once you get some marks, they make it easier for more marks to occur. And you want to clean off the battery and the mech mod. If it's a constant contact mech mod, then you want to open it up because there's still contacts opening and closing and arcing. You want to clean it off. But I think you're talking about the battery itself. You want to keep the marks off of it, clean them every day, and you may have to go to different mods. Some mods just arc a lot. But you could try a different battery because there might be slightly different shaped contact. It might make a difference. Chris Robinson thought it was a right-hand rule, I thought, but it's been years. Yeah, that sounds more likely because they're more righties, so they would make up, rule for the right hand. But yeah, I don't remember any of that. Greasy says, ladies nail buffing board is great for cleaning contacts. The smooth padded ones. There we go. Yeah, because you don't want an emery board or something like that. Particularly, I mean, if you have a plated contact, then you're really stuck with cleaning. Then I'd say Scotch-Brite pad or just alcohol, and you just got to deal with crappy performance. And plating is just bad. It you have to take the plating off to maintain the contact because in order to take down the high spots on the arc marks, you've got to get something on there that can take down the high spots, and that's going to take off plating too. And the plating doesn't add to performance; it can help with maintenance. If you have a copper contact and it's plated with gold, that definitely helps with maintaining the copper, makes it almost maintenance free. But the arcing blows through the plating anyway, so the plating is pretty useless unless you've got a constant contact switch, maybe the copper on the inside. Maim drain or a Mamed Drame? Totally guessing here. Hello, Mooch. You do an exceptional job for the batteries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. Marty Stein's good advice. Trying to think if I brought any. Do I have any other goodies? No, those are the only other goodies I have. So I've got the Gear Falcon AL88, two of those. In heat testing now, I'll be doing general testing soon. They do get too hot with 8x1. I'd say put a fan on it or just use 4. Alternate the cells. Cells get up to like 50 Celsius or something. That's just too hot. But most people aren't charging 8 cells at once all at the same time, starting with 8. You might have 8 in there, but like I do, I put 8 in there, and then all day long, as one cell charges, I'm just putting another one in, just to keep it running all the time. And it, depending what combination of cells you have, it'll go all the way to very cool, and then make it very hot because just by coincidence, all 8 are charging at full current. Uh, but I no chargers are going to be running cool, or cool enough for high reliability operation when you load them up. That just makes for too expensive a charger. You just have to get a small fan over it or something if you're doing that a lot, or something like that, or just realize, I got exactly what I paid for. For some of them, a decent charger that will shorten its life if I'm using it like crazy. That's okay for the price we're paying for these chargers. AutoSol, Corey Jackson. I haven't heard about that for cleaning. Yeah, I use Never Dull, NEVR. Dull, that cotton, you pull off a wad of it, it's soaked, and you can get into the threads easier, things like that. And then Scotch-Brite pads for the arcing marks. Otherwise, if it's just gold, I just use slightly dampened. I actually use a cleaning patch for cleaning barrels, gun barrels. Use a patch with a little bit of, because the tissue falls apart so easily, and I have millions of cleaning patches. Just use that touch of alcohol and just wipe away everything. David Fisher, I bet if you contacted a company, they would make a charger of batteries endorsed by you for some extra income. Well, who says that's not already happening? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with things. Trouble is, how do you make it less than $250? Uh, there's a good 100 people who would pay more for a charger. A thousand or 10,000 would say they would, but only 100 actually would. And I know that from so many years of small releases of products back when I was starting out, just years and years of that. And I would always, what I eventually learned actually was, you need 10 times or whatever number of people say, yes, absolutely, I would definitely buy it. Only 1/10 of that number will actually give you the money, because there's just too many things in life that pop up that make you realize, whoa, no, I can't do that. And you get caught up in the excitement, but then you go, oh, I can't buy that. I got to pay the rent. And it's perfectly understandable. Scott Bogfoot, do you get many questions from car audio people wanting to add a 12-volt battery to help kill their car's mains battery? No, almost nothing. I don't think they heard about me in the community at all. Most of the questions, I think, would be about super caps, ultra caps, because there's a lot of knowledge out there now in terms of just paralleling up lots of batteries. But since it's such pulsed nature, when you need the power in just pulses, a lot of people are thinking, hey, why should I have another 40-pound 12-volt battery when maybe I can put in 5 pounds worth of ultracapacitors, and you get the cool factor, easier maintenance, longer life, etc. and so forth, as long as you size them correctly and they're not overheating. David Fisher, have to make a Pro and a discount modem. A Pro and model probably. Oh, in terms of the charger, oh yeah, that'd always be an option. Like I could build 100 pieces of some kind of high-end model and then hand it over to a China company to commercialize that design into something much less expensive. Same basic feature set, but maybe some other something. I also have limitation sizes. I'm not building something with sliding spring-loaded slots. No way in heck. Mine would be like 1850 only, or some size only. China could say, okay, we'll put in sliding contacts and da 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 da. Greasy says the only mech never got Archeon was the El Thunder. That's good. Excellent. I love the El Thunder. Vaping Bogan pointed out there. I love the El Thunder's fingers for putting on the cap, so you don't need the thread to carry the current. It's got fingers to connect the bottom button assembly to the top rest of it, and then the cap you screw on is just to hold everything in place. Brilliant design. Bladen, is that a question for me? Battery space mooch in the front. Molicel versus LG, 18650. LG what? How much current are you drawing? Uh, it makes a difference. You know, if you're drawing 5 amps, and then I'd say no, you don't want the P42A or P26A. You want something, you know, with crap loads of capacity, 3400, 3500 milliamp per hour, but a low rating to match that. Thank you, Justin. Bladen, 2500 milliamp per hour. Yeah, how much current, Bladen? How much current will you be drawing from the battery? Corey Jackson with the super chat. Thank you, Mooch. Much respect for what you do for the industry. Thank you, sir, very much. Bladen loves the vids. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Marty Steins had a friend who lost his Mustang. Oh no, when the battery caught fire because he was just drawing too much current from it. The gas tank exploded when the fire from the battery got to it. That's not good. Greasy says the El Thunder is a brilliant design. Yeah, if it wasn't $100, I'd get one because I'm curious about that design. Scott Bogfoot, do you have any favorite old school video games, and what would they be? Wow, I used to always love going to the arcade. Let's see, what I remember do I like from that? Asteroids I like, but frustrated me. Um, what was the one? Tron, I loved. What was the one that had this big kind of 3D tube you went down, and you kind of went back and forth in the tube while things were coming down it? That one I enjoyed. There were a couple of shoot 'em ups, early shoot 'em ups I really liked, but I don't remember the name of. Wow, this is memories. We're talking 1980s. Trying to remember. A friend of mine's got one of those retro consoles, you know, with every single old game on it. I'm trying to remember what I ended up firing up and playing. Oh, we kind of went through all of them. Thanks, Justin. Bladen, six. Okay, now Bladen, that's 16.8 amps, 3.27 volts. That sounds like what you're reading on the display of the device. If you have a regulated device, you're only looking at wattage. Ignore the display because that's telling you what's going to the coils, not from with the battery. Um, if you've got, um, if you're at, let's say 45 watts or less, get the LG HG2. If you've got more than 45 watts, up to 75 watts, get the Molicel P26A. And folks, yes, I know there are other things going on, but that's for him. And simple advice, I'd say, you know, higher power levels, go with the P26A. Fog Dog, have you ever found arc marks in your clutch? I haven't so far in several months of use. Tiny, tiny. I have to get out the magnifier and check, and then I just use a Scotch-Brite pad on there to take it down. But yeah, that I do have to make sure that when I put the contact back in, it hasn't twisted a little bit. So I want the best contact I can get out of it. And I smooth my contact out, the silver contact, I smooth it out. Got some time left here. Greasy says, do you make your own juice? Yes, I do, if you can call it making. If you're ever stuck for concentrates, let me know. I can send you some your way if you like. Got a lot of spares. Thank you very much. Actually, yeah, just for like this, it's a 70 VG with a touch of mint. I just because for me, you know, if I'm eating or something like that or drinking, I don't vape because I like the flavor of my food or drinking like that. And for me, so much of it's when I'm stressed and I'm not when I do vape, I'm stressed and I'm not tasting the flavors anyway. Um, and for me, I really thought I'd love to make to DIY to make my own e-liquid, but I'm finding that I just don't have the time and I don't want to deal with it. I just want to freaking vape when I'm stressed and I want to vape, except maybe when I get a new juice and then I'm, you know, pounding away through it until I go, whoa, save some of this, you know, for 2, 3 days. Okay, so feed coming back. We'll see. We'll see if this is coming back because right now I'm getting the spinning circle of death, and I'm seeing. Okay, it looks like it's still here. Hopefully, people would say in chat if you can't hear me. Thanks, Justin. Rough McRuff, what's your preferred build and battery in a mech? It depends on how hard I'm vaping. BTC 5As if I'm not going crazy. If I got my 0.17 ohm dual fuse Claptons, if I'm down to a point oh something I'm not going to tell you, playing around or something like that, then Samsung 20S, period. That's it for 18650. Otherwise, 30Ts. P42As, if I'm not running it hard, 30Ts otherwise. I just don't notice enough of a difference to be worried about it. I'm just not that worried about it. Um, I know some people it's super important to have the shortened ramp up time and best battery and everything. Concerning I'm the battery guy, it just doesn't matter to me too much. But 30Ts at high power, P42As otherwise, Samsung 20S at high power, Molicel P26As or VTC 5As otherwise. Justin says I buffer for a few seconds. Yeah, and I'm still getting the circle of death on the phone that's recording this, and it looks like a pretty potato feed right now. Chris Robinson, if I ever need a liquid, put out a call on Patreon. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've got about a half liter left of the 70 VG with mint, but I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Jared, you're back. You're saying I'm back. Yes. Christopher Murdoch, CA of $5. Thank you very much. Hey, Mooch, having issues getting my hands on usual 5-leg iJoys, usually run my mech at 24 amps. For 2700s, I'm trying to. I'm drawing the blank on what any 2700s are now. I haven't looked at 2700s in days. The iJoys were at the bottom of the pile for 2700 those though. Check out Minding Your Moms, what's episode 31 for my recommended 2700s, or go to the my blog at ECF, get my recommended batteries tables for 2700s. I am drawing complete blank on 2700s right now, and I don't know why, other than normal age-related degeneration. Justin, 70 VG. Scott Bogfoot, what does a CPIC written on some batteries mean? And I've forgotten what the CPIC is. It's not anything big or important, or it should be on batteries. It's like putting ROHS on a battery. It's useless. There haven't been any lithium-ion batteries with banned substances. I don't know if they've ever had any of the banned substances in them, cadmium, mercury, and things like that. I don't know, but that's actually a good point. I'm actually going to look that up. If someone else looked it up and just wrote what CPIC meant, I can tell you if it's important or not, or what it might mean. That China just loves blasting out all these useless things on the battery because, like, look at all the regulatory standards we comply with. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's useless in terms of anything like FCC. What kind of radio emissions? Because FCC deals with radio emissions. Undesired radio emissions. What kind of radio emissions come from a battery? Okay, you got FCC certification for a battery. What? Oh, that's right. Sandios, thank you. Yeah, for the 2700s, David Fisher, thank you very much. The Sanyo 2070C if you're high power levels, other the 2700A if you're moderate power levels. Like the 24 amps. 2700A is good. 2070C if you can find it. Marty Steins asks, what was the max wattage for Molicel P42A? If you're not going, I'd recommend about 75 watts max for that. Over that, you can go over that for their rating, but for my rating, stay about 75 watts. 25 amps, 3 times the continuous current rating. That gives you the approximate wattage for most regulated device. Thank you, Justin. Tobias, yep, it's still giving me the spinning circle of death on the phone. It's China. Anything could be in the batteries. There you go. But you just can't buy. You can get low grade materials for lithium-ion battery, but you start adding mercury and cadmium and all kinds of stuff, it's just not going to work. Red Baron Reviews says his next batteries are 40Ts in series with a 0.3A coil. That's all right. That'll be that'll be pretty high wattage, and the current rating is fine, or the current is fine. St. Jacques, Hey, Mooch, really appreciate the great work you do for the community. Love the videos, man. Keep them coming. Thank you, sir. Yeah, my patrons are actually looking at the latest video right now. I think it releases tomorrow, and then the Galeesi video will be done this week. My patrons will have it for a while, and then that will come out maybe next weekend or sometime soon after that. Bladen asks, Bladen, I'm begging you, battery space Mooch in the front. Have I ever heard of XXX 2700 batteries? No. Free ones from the local vape shop, they might be worth free. XXX, I haven't tested those, I don't know, 4 years or something like that. They were like rewrap. Back then, everyone rewrap, but they were HG2s or 25 Rs or something like that. I don't know whose 2700s are using. More coming out from the China factories. Um, don't know anything about them. Go slow. Be careful. We got 5 minutes or so. Scott Bogfoot, do the usable lifespan of a battery change for different sized batteries? Um, no, not that we can generalize to the size. It all matters, or mostly matters, how hard you use them, or how the battery was designed. The specific battery was designed. So you could have an 18650 that might last 5,000 cycles or 50 cycles, depending how you use it. Same for 26650. Now, most of the 26650s are coming out of smaller China factories, older chemistries and formulations. That can lead to not as high quality battery, and that maybe that could lead to lower overall life. But it doesn't do with the size. It just has to do with that size isn't made by any of the big manufacturers anymore. Greasy says 40Ts are great for regulated. I agree. And great for mechs if you're not drawing a lot of current. If you're under 25 amps or something, they're fantastic for mechs because they'll run for longer than the 30Ts. Battery addiction. You never know with China batteries, especially when they say 50,000 milliamp per hour. That's right. Or the 12,000 milliamp per hour 18650s. Justin Vickers says, I'm guessing the XXXs were Samsung 30Qs. Oh, in the XXX report. Okay. Yeah, so they were rewraps then. Uh, if I was XXX and I had that kind of battery, I would be looking at the less expensive, easier to buy, China, smaller China factories. Yangtze New Energy Company is used by a lot of companies and other China companies out there now. And some of them are pretty decent cells. Not as consistent as Samsung, Sony, LG, Panasonic, Sanyo. Molly sells about in the middle. Those other companies are up at the top. But Molly sells a lot more consistent than the smaller China factories. And I forgot what my point was. Nope, don't remember. We'll move on to the next thing. A little more water here. And I'm trying to think of all the whole time. I'm trying to remember the rest of the stuff I have in the queue. Oh, yeah, my patrons know I've got a bunch of flashlight batteries coming up. My patrons will be seeing that. Then get released, and then looking forward to testing the heavy hitter mech mod sometime, hopefully soon. Blade battery moves. Love that in the front. Sorry, love you. Save my life picking the right batteries up. Have a blessed day tomorrow. I'm off to work. Night shift goals. Aha. Bladen, thank you for coming by. Thank you for your kind words. Justin says, I think the point is that XXX is a rewrapper, so what their wrap now is unknown. Okay. Well, yeah, certainly. And that is always a major point with anyone. Not from one of the big manufacturers. You just don't know. Some companies I trust more than others. VapCell learned the hard way when they swap cells what happens. So I would trust them more than I would a company like XXX or something like that. Scott Bogfoot, thank you for all you do for us. Tonight I'll play some Tron games for Atari. I have a few of them. Stay safe. Thank you. Same to you. And enjoy that Tron. You kind of got me into it. I may look into see what, I'm sure there's something I can do, fire up on the tablet. Addy Tooney, getting any writing in? Riding? Riding? Bike riding. Ta-da! No, not at all. Not for a long time, actually. Completely. I'm gonna need new inner tubes for the bike. No, haven't since like last summer. Actually, before that, on there. Thank you for asking, though. VapCell are very inconsistent, considering it's supposed to be Samsung 20S rewraps. Well, Greasy, they're probably not 20S rewraps then. for the ones you're using. Or, there are other variables you're not accounting for in the testing. Because otherwise Samsung 20Ss are very consistent. Now, maybe it's mixed grades. Maybe you've got higher grade and lower grade cells. That can be something too. Or the charger isn't consistent. There's so many variables when you're comparing cells. You have to be 10 times more careful than you think you have to be. One more minute. In your recurve squonk video, you said it goes over 80 watts. Yes. Is that a common thing for unregulated? It is, if you're using a battery capable. It has nothing to do with the electronics of the device. It just passes through the power it's getting and protects it. So if you've got a battery like a Samsung 30T that might deliver 110, 115 watts, then that's what it'll give her. Is it something to worry about? I don't know. It's up to the individual device, but it should be able to handle that, I would hope. But certainly if you feel it getting warm, stop. That 80 watts they quoted, I think it's just what they found maximum for the batteries they tested the recurve with. Um, it all depends on the battery, and whether it's an issue or not is how hard you're vaping, how hot you get it, and whether you're stressing it beyond what they had designed it for. And we don't know what they designed it for, unfortunately. And about time for us to go. I'm going to make battery addictions question the last. I'll say, John Beninati's good night. Stay safe. Same to you. Thank you very much. And battery addiction, I have a rechargeable flashlight with a 13650 with a positive, is that 18? With a positive ring in the bottom with negative inside the ring. Looking for more of those, only 800 milliamp per hour. Positive ring on the bottom with negative so both terminals on one side of the battery. Oh, okay. Boy, I've seen that done with circuit boards added to the end of the thing, and they put a flat conductor, insulated conductor to the negative part of the battery. But I've never seen that with a 13650 with both terminals at one end. I've never seen that format before. Good luck with search like that. Wow. Cholo Ranch, thank you, thank you. So everybody, we are out. Not on a vape show likes to start early sometimes. I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the awesome super chats. Everybody stay